So hey guys, today we're going to be trying to build a deck based around the Argostar cards, and honestly, I'm not even 100% certain how these cards work, but I'm going to just be making just some assumptions. So with Eldlick, the monsters that are summoned are actually considered normal monsters and not effect monsters, so I'm not sure how these cards actually function under skill drain. So technically, it says this card is also still a trap. So is this considered like is this considered a monster effect or what? Well, let's read this together and try to figure it out. Soft once per turn when your opponent activates a card or effect. So this has to be done in response to something your opponent does. You can special summon this card as an effect monster. Warrior, light, level 4, attack 800, defense 800. With the following effect, this card is also still a trap. Then if you have a banish Argostar's monster, you can return one card on field to the hand. So I think this is a trap effect entirely. So this effect would be the effect monster effect. So this is what you would not be able to do under skill drain, I believe. But this shouldn't super matter, I guess. It like depends on the exact context, but I believe if you're running skill drain, this deck can indeed run skill drain. So if we have Glorious Adra effect here, this becomes like pretty degenerate. You banish this card you control, place up to 2 Argostars continuous traps with different names from your hand and or deck face up in your spell trap zone. Wait, that's not the right effect. If this card is normal summoned this turn, your opponent cannot activate cards or effects in response to the activations of your continuous trap cards or their effects. So, my assumption here is what we could do, technically, because our opponent will not be able to like do anything in response here. We should be able to go like normal summon Adra, I guess, would be required, but normal summon Adra, then we can do the effect to summon, I guess, like Ezio at some point, bounce back whatever our opponent summoned or whatever, just bounce back a card in general. Then we can go ahead and use Tio's other effect, and I think this should still count as a continuous trap, right? Or does it not? Well, I'm going to assume it does, because it is a trap. I'm not sure if it is still a continuous trap or not. I think there's another card that mentions continuous traps, so maybe they'll help. Let's see. You can reveal this card in your hand, return one Argostar's continuous trap you control to the hand, and if you do special summon this card. No. You can banish this card you control, set one continuous trap from your hand. It can be activated this turn. Nope. Nothing's really helping us out here. Let's see. Is it maybe the field spells effect? Once per chain, if a continuous trap activates its effects in your monster zone while you have a banish Argostar's monster, you can target one face-up card. Your opponent controls negate its effects until the end of this turn. Okay. So with Home Stadium, I think it becomes clear. It counts as a continuous trap in the main monster zone, and this matters because Glorious Adra here, if we normal summon Glorious Adra, I mean, we could technically do this on our opponent's turn as well. We just wouldn't be able to use this effect. I'm not sure, like, if this is, like, really viable as a strategy, but just for the sake of discussing the rulings, I guess. If we go ahead and resolve Ezio, we should be able to then Ezio bounce back to put Ezio or kind of back into the spell and trap zone, and then flip over skill drain. And all of this should be unrespondable, which is kind of dumb. So that would be like our opponent does something, chain Ezio. This is a when, right? Okay, but Ezio effect. Ezio bounces back something. This is non-target as well, which is kind of disgusting. But yeah, Ezio effect. And then we have the effect to resolve. Well, actually, now that I think about it, because of when this happens as well, this is also kind of good because it'd be like chain Ezio and then chain Home Stadium. Oh, is that why this happens, right? Once per chain if debates in your monsters. This is an if and not a when though. So this happens in new chain, doesn't it? Very strange. So I guess this uh making your opponent unable to respond, that doesn't really matter for home stadium. Unless it's like maybe on your turn it would matter. Because like how priority works, I think maybe, right? Uh, well, yeah, I'm not going to overthink it, but I think it has some relevance to this and like some stuff to do with chain order. But either way, the thing about these cards, well, I don't think you really have any restrictions on these cards. And they're lacking once per turns like super hard. So if we run 3 copies of Home Stadium, well, it'll cost us a little bit, but we can technically use the fact to add Argostar cards from our graveyard or banishment to our hand. But we can do this 3 times within 1 turn. And that's kind of dumb. This isn't a starter though, which is a little bit awkward. So not sure how I feel about that. But yeah. An unrespondable skill drain just sounds kind of disgusting to me. So at the start of Master Duel, we had to deal with like 3 Gozen, 3 Rivalry, and 3 skill drain. So a lot of the time, like a stun deck like Stun Eldlick could clear your board going second by resolving like Gozen or Rivalry, and then if you tried to negate that, chain skill drain. And that was like a pretty terrible kind of time to be playing, honestly. But yeah. Now imagine that, but it's unrespondable. Just any one of these could be extremely devastating, right? So imagine you have like a full board, your opponent does normal summon Adra, and then they might do, I guess in this case it would be, this is an on-field effect, isn't it? You can banish this card you control. Yeah. So then you could set a trap off of Parth, and then Parth effect, I guess. In this case, we're going to assume it's like a Gozen, and we're going to also assume that Gozen lowers your end board to just 1 guy. And this is just completely unrespondable with the Parth. So depending on what you have, right? Even if you have like a Baron or something like that, you would still potentially just get bent by this, which is kind of neat, I guess. But also, managing chains and stuff, kind of annoying. So still mixed feelings on this one. Let's see what this does. Add an Argostar card. Is this actually relevant for anything? If I add an Argostar card, is there an Argostar card that does something on my opponent's turn? Return an Argostar continuous trap you control to the hand if you do special summon this card. Yeah, that doesn't do anything. And then these continuous traps don't do anything because they are continuous traps. I guess if you pair this up with Silhouette Rabbit, there are like a few, I guess, targets you could maybe use with these. I don't remember exactly their names though. I think it was Anguish Pattern, I guess. Anguish Pattern was pretty good. And then there was like something else. And then all of these are continuous traps themselves, so with no hard once per turn, so you could potentially put these in the back row, but by itself it seems kind of just a little bit annoying to play. So in terms of starters, you would need Adra or Giant Slaying, and then you have Rhoda, so you have 7 kind of one card kind of ish starters. This requires you to discard a card to special summon though. So ideally we'd be playing something alongside this that would not require a special summon and have a card we can discard. So a decent deck we could use for this would just be like just straight up Centurion, I guess. Because you do have Gargoyle, which you will put back to the hand, I guess. That is a not so bad idea, I think. You could also technically do maybe, I guess, like Orchest, and Orcus could work. I'd have to like actually test out some rulings regarding like continuous traps to be able to play this deck like super efficiently though, which is a little bit annoying. Well, alright then, let's see. If we are thinking in terms of combos as well, actually, what level? Oh, these are level 4, which is the perfect level to make technically a redoer with. I don't know if there's any way we could reasonably... Well, actually... Yeah, there is. We could use the XYZ armored cards, actually, now that I think about it. So... The restriction here is just a little bit annoying with all the discarding of your cards. So what if we went into like an XYZ Armor Fortress? And this is a hard one, so we can't like do Gar's Reborn this back. Okay. So idea, we make a rank 4 using like our Lightning Tidios. And then we can, I guess, potentially also make a Redoer with traps. So Redoer has the effect to then place one face-up card your opponent controls on the top of the deck. That's not like that bad, right? We have this option if we don't want Blade Garnets, right? But if we do want to, we could then go instead like do something funky like Dugaris. But actually Dugaris has like more purpose than I thought, because since this discards a card, we can discard a monster to actually reborn with the Dugaris, actually, now that I think about it. So yeah, this can run with any deck actually now. And then we are going to hope not to get the Garnets, I suppose. And then we can go like Dugaris, effect of Dugaris. And then effect of Armor Fortress. So we're going to just assume we're just going to grab, in this case, it might be like full Armored Xyz. We could run like an additional one of these cards. And there's like some usage for some of these. Like if we need a monster for whatever reason, we can just run Armored Shark as a Garnet. So we could discard Armored Shark, and then I don't know. There might be something that requires you to have just a monster, but even if not, well, I think we only, if we're making Dugaris, we're only going to have one material for Armor Fortress, I guess. So maybe we don't need to. Just simply do not open or draw the Garnet, I suppose. But all right. If we have full Armored Xyz, what we can then do is we can then later use it for Lightning Tideo, but again, right? So we can discard full Armored XYZ, and then we can do the effect of full Armored Dark Knight Lancer here, which has the effect of soft once per turn, you can target one XYZ card in your graveyard added to your hand. This is in fact, of course, an XYZ card. So then next turn, when we summon like our Etios, we can then convert them into a Redoer with the full armored Xyz, right? So this just requires you to control an XYZ monster, I believe, right? Yeah. Any XYZ monster to be on the field, and then you can use monsters that you control for an XYZ summon. So we can use them to then make Redoer. And then after we make Redoer, Redoer can spin, and then we can do effect of full armored Xyz to attach, I guess, probably, in this case, I think it'll be Dugaris to Dark Knight Lancer. And that'll be all we need to do, right? And what attribute are these actually? Light. Being light's actually worse, because there were Evil Swarm cards, I believe, that were a little bit better in terms of overall disruption than, I guess, a Redoer. So if we go XYZ and then Dark, I think they should show up. So we have, let's see, this one. This is actually a little bit useful. This face-up card is unaffected by other monster effects this turn. Wait. No, wait, this is not the right thing. Okay, never mind. That's useless. Okay, Evil Swarm Nightmare. When your opponent special summons a monster, except during the damage step, you can detach one material from this card. change that special summon monster to face down defense position. Only thing bad about this card is first word when it can miss timing. But there should be another similar-ish card that's like somewhat related. And then wait, what's this? If you used an illusion monster, they're not illusion monsters, I guess, so that's not useful here. Anti-Utopian? Nope, nope, nope. There should be another card, right? With similar effects that's related somewhat to that card, I think, maybe. Yeah, oh, never mind, here we go. We could technically make this Steel Swarm Roach. During either player's turn, when a level 5 or higher monster would be special summon, you detach one XYZ material from this card, negate the special summon, and if you destroy it. So this is essentially quick effect, destroy a card. And this stops, I believe, like inherent summons specifically, which is somewhat useful. But I mean, this is the most generic one. And then, doesn't this have an effect as well? Negate the effects of one effect monster on the field until the end of this turn. Is that a quick effect? When your opponent activates a card or effect. So I guess we could also do double barrel, technically. So, you know, just some options in general. And I don't remember, like, every single rank 4, but I guess if you wanted to be an asshole about it, you could also make Guska on your opponent's turn, actually. So that's fairly decent, I suppose, as well. And just discarding cards isn't necessarily that bad, depending on what you're discarding. Like, worst case cards are really good to discard, but I mean, wait, these are Earth, and then these are Light. Wait, this is weird. Didn't they print some kind of like Earth Warrior support at some point? I just genuinely don't remember what they did exactly. If I am actually, like, for example, Earth locked, now that I think about it, so if we were playing the Verna Self cards, isn't that fine? Because these aren't monster effects, technically, when we're activating here. The only monster effect is this one, right? So, yeah, that's fine. We can just do this effect next turn and then do this effect, right? Like, am I missing something? Yeah. And this just requires you to banish this card you control. So you could Verna Self to actually access these Argostar cards. Well, then you could play Herald with these as well. And then you would also play some nature cards, maybe. If you were feeling like particularly psychopathic, I guess that is an option. It's just you have so much you can do. I'm not really sure like what would be the actual ideal options here. But I mean, for a quick draft, we'll just keep it to mostly Pier, I guess. So we'll go Bloss, followed by Imperm, I guess, and we'll see where we're at afterwards. So I am very satisfied with the amount of starters to begin with, right? Having the current amount of starters, in this case, like if we're playing mostly Pier like this, right? We only have 7 starters, right? And having 7 starters is just kind of crummy. So if we have, well, just 7 starters, is there anything we can really do here with just 7? It's not that consistent, because with 7 starters, that's around like what, 50-60-ish%. So we're going to just round down here and say you're essentially doing a coin flip to if you have a starter or not. And then a lot of these cards are kind of like bricky, like Home Stadium. This does genuinely nothing if you do not have any Argostar cards. In this case, it would be in the graveyard or in your hand. And I don't think we would want to play this with like Centurion, because I think we would want to have Home Stadium on the field if possible. So that's probably something we would look for. So there's that, right? But it's just mostly this effect, right? And then there is the burn. effect. Each time a continuous trap in the spell and trap zone is special summoned to your field, inflict 500 damage to your opponent. Could we actually use this to game someone? Well, now that I think about it, yes. Because the Millennium cards. But you're not summoning that much, are you? Maybe. So we're going to assume maybe we summon 2 times here, and actually we could summon a 3rd time, right? So if we summon, boom, boom, Lightning Tideo, here's Parth. Turn 1 Argostar, continuous trap you control to the hand, and if you do special summon this card, then we can set that card again, and then it can be activated this turn, so that's 1.5k burn, and we could technically search 1 more trap. Probably, I'm thinking that's what I'm feeling for this combo. Like, I haven't actually labbed it out fully. We're just doing a little bit of guessing here, but then next turn we should be able to resolve maybe like Tideo, Etio, and then that should be like overall. I think what how much burn is this? Like 1.5k on turn 1, and then like maybe close to 2k on the following turn. So about 3.5k burn. That's a little bit short. If we're activating 2 Millennium cards, we would still need 500 more. Well, that's pretty doable actually. If we are playing Beansmith, I'm not saying like that this is necessarily optimal, but how much burn would it add if we just Lacrima burned our opponent twice? Like, without that, I don't think that this is that optimal, right? Is this only on Fusion Summon? Oh, but the trap can Fusion Summon like anytime, right? Yeah. You banish this card, Fusion Summon, using monsters from blah blah blah, whatever. So, this burns for 1.2k, so 2.4k plus 3.5k, that's not like really lethal, but if you're actually playing... Oh, yeah. Wait. If you're playing Ghost Mourner... Oh god, this is actually... Oh. This is like practically lethal. Or you could do a lethal with this. What the hell? That's not like a legit FTK, but it's like closing in on it, actually. Wow. And that's each time a continuous trap in the spawn trap zone is special summoned, right? To your field. Yeah, there's no hard ones on it. I genuinely don't know how to feel about this. Well, okay then. Wait. Well, I don't think we can easily do this with the Centurion cards. But if we were summoning the Centurion cards, that would be more burn. Huh. If we're playing... It would be like absolute slop, but if we're playing like, essentially, Argostar's Centurion Fiendsmith, I think we can actually set up an FTK with this. Alright, I just want to think about that for the rest of the day. That'll be something future me will handle. But alright, let's see. What do we actually have here? Let's just forget Fiendsmith exists for a little bit. And we need more hand traps, I guess. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. These are Earths and not light or dark, so we can't actually bestial these. That sucks a little bit. Well, if we want warriors, Isolde is pretty logical, and actually... Wait a second. Are these all warriors? Oh my god, you're gonna make Isolde with these two. Was this deck made to FTK or what? Ah, dude. I need a moment. Alright, moment's over. So, we'll probably want to have our normal summon for Adra, and then it says here, this is a quick play spell, yeah? Oh, alright. Add an Argostar monster from your deck to your hand, then immediately after this effect resolves if a continuous trap is in your monster zone, or a continuous trap with an effect that special summons itself as a monster is in your spell and trap zone. You can normal summon a warrior monster. That's any warrior monster. I'm not sure if that's relevant for anything, but okay. During your main phase, you banish this card from your graveyard, then target 2 cards on the field, including Argostar's continuous trap you control, return them to the hand. Well, for the most part, this will add a Argostar's monster, and then we summon it. So, for the time being, we probably want, like, a little bit better consistency. So the best way I can think of to do this, yeah. So we remain playing like mostly Pier for the time being, probably just Small World, but we also need like some kind of like way into things. So maybe Primite is not like too bad of an idea here, but like will Primite be doing a whole lot for us? Hmm, maybe not, right? So I don't know how I feel about this. We do need cards to discard actually as well, so maybe Small World's not a good fit for the deck in general. So if I want cards to discard, I should be getting extra cards in my hand, I guess. How can we do that? And I preferably without normal summoning if I want to draw cards, I guess. We could try Punk. And Punk can actually give us access to AFD. And then if we have AFD, we can special summon one of these guys. So that's not too bad. So that's the route we're going for the time being. And Punk did get like some support recently, but you know what? I don't think the support is that relevant to this. So it would just look something like this. Oh, we can go with one of these. This. I guess we'll go like 45 cards. I don't see a point to playing Rising Scales for this, so yeah, I guess we won't. And then, I don't know, something like this, maybe. Emergency Teleport is going to be at 3 now, I think, right? Yeah, okay. Glad I have 3. And we could technically adjust the ratios a little bit, but, you know, I guess it gets the job done. And we can draw 3 with, like, Punk Jam Fever. Is there anything we can do with Punk Jam Fever? Let's see. You can only use each effect Punk Jam Fever once per turn. Nope. That doesn't seem like anything particularly useful with this card. But alright. We're going to get some nasty hands, right? Home Stadium. If I have access to Home Stadium, well, we're going to assume we're going to just do like a combo to draw 3. And then what? Well, actually, I wouldn't draw this because I would have searched it, so. Giant Slaying. We have access to 2 Giant Slayings, actually. Now that I'm looking at this, I'm realizing that you can Giant Slaying on your opponent's turn. And then you'd be able to make your continuous traps unrespondable. Yeah, so that's something. And this would get us access to the Adra. It would not be a normal summon Adra though, it would be special summon, which is still fine. Can we do the draw and actually go into AFD? I don't think we can actually, right? I think there is no synergy here. Because there's no, like, anything we can do with the Punk cards here, really. Oh, actually, we have this function now. Cool. Alright. Remove that too. Oh, now I'll put it back in. Interesting. Alright, let's see. If that's not an option, what else do we have? Well, let's see. Rank 4 engine, probably, would be good, I'm thinking. And then, like, a continuous trap, right? Oh, wait, what? Giant Sling say? If a continuous trap is in your monster's zone, or a continuous trap with an effect that special summons itself as a monster is in your spawn trap zone. Yeah, that's not going to really work out, is it? What can I do with the Centurion cards? Is there anything like viable with the Centurion cards that we can do? I don't feel like it would be that great. I'd have to like check over it again though. Needing continuous traps for your things is kind of weird. The only continuous trap deck I can think of, like kinda continuous trap, would be just like Centurion. It might be the only deck actually. Aside from that, you mostly have continuous spells. Well, needing to use like no field spells is annoying. Oh, simple answer. We could if we're playing mostly Pier, we could just use cash, right? Then we can run the field spell, no problem. And then we have this. And then we have, um, like this, right? The birth. And then that's pretty solid, I guess. And I don't think we mind being XYZ, so XYZ locked, so we can do this actually as well. And then we can just end up with a few more hand traps, just round out with those, and then we should just be fine. And we can technically also make just a Rise Heart, Shangri-La, whatever, right? Yeah, that's technically doable. And also, didn't throw in Zeus or Typhon yet, so we can do that, I guess. And we have mostly just pretty usable strategy already at this point, I guess, right? Well, I guess we maybe throw in Goddess because wait, do we need Goddess? No, we don't need Goddess because we can actually just burn our opponent for game now. Actually, wait, we kind of are losing out on life points, aren't we? How much can you get back in terms of life points? If I am resolving like home stadium? Then if you have a banished Argostar sponsor, you gain just 500 life points. That's not enough to do anything with. If we're continuously paying with home stadium, yeah, I think that's not great, is it? Well, actually, no way. These cards can put themselves back, right? Do I need a search target? No, it's optional to search. Do we have to discard if we're not searching? Yeah, we have to discard no matter what. So we do want like a way to continuously refill our hand, probably. Cash Dira doesn't do that. We can only like use them as discard fodder like once. It's a one and done kind of deal here with the Kashtira card, so that doesn't really work fully. But we do have Dark Knight Lancer, I guess, which helps. So simple answer. This is a soft once per turn. So what if we just added another Dark Knight Lancer? I mean, I guess, right? So imagine this now. Well, it doesn't have to be full armored Xyz. This could be any XYZ card. We'd discard it for Tidia, burn, add back, do that crap, just keep rinse, repeat, and then put them back in the back row. Rinse, repeat. It works. If nothing else, it works. Yup. It gets there. Not really going to craft this for this though. But okay, then hand traps. And then we should be done, I guess. Well, what kind of hand traps would be good for this? Well, these guys are darks and light, so maybe having Bistrals like just running them wouldn't be like too bad if we were to run them, so I'll just put them in for the time being. This is not a continuous trap. But actually, this is. Wait a second. If we run a 2, that's like pretty solid, and we can actually bounce back Magnuma to the hand, so we don't actually need to play Regain for that. Oh. Something like this? Just a small package to round things out, I guess. We could throw in a few more hand traps to round out things, but I mean, the consistency is already going to be questionable. So I mean, this is technically combo, right? This hand's like fine. I wouldn't cry about it, right? Rhoda. Well, if this gets imprint, we're kind of screwed though, right? Like this. Well, it is what it is, I guess. Rhoda, this, grab 2 of these, I guess. Why not? We're going to grab definitely a home stadium, I think. And then this has the effect. Or it can bounce. Continuous trap you control to the hand. Is this still a continuous trap when it's on the field? I guess it would be, right? So I could resolve the effect to search again, maybe? But what would I even grab with that, though? Graveyard effect or no? No. Nope. So these cards aren't even good discards, so that's like awkward. If I discard, I can add it back later, I guess. If I want to discard twice, well, what would my other discard be in this hand? It'd just be to deck then, really, right? Hmm. Yeah, not really sure how to feel about this one. I mean, the hand's like perfectly playable. We could go into Dugars here, right? Should we run one of this trap? What's the condition to summon this? If a continuous trap is in a monster zone, you would special summon this, and then you don't have to discard, I guess. One of these doesn't really hurt you too much. Okay, that's fine. And on a later turn, we should be able to just make Chaos Angel with Light and Dark. Technically, right? And then we have like flex spots in the extra deck, which we can work out on a later date if we're making something like this. So idea, Etude, Chaos Angel, Banish. Pretty simple, I guess. And if we wanted to add back Magnamut, we have the idea of Tio, return Magnamut. Or we have Giant Slaying, return Magnamut. Oh, we should go through Giant Slaying actually. So technically, discarding the Parth there isn't that bad. You just go Giant Slaying, effect, grab back Parth, I suppose. And then returning an Argostar's continuous trap shouldn't really matter there. So I mean, I guess all in all, it still like functions. I'll have to like work out the nitty gritty of this later. But yeah, that's all I got for you guys today, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye.